Welcome. This is Back to the Basics. This is season 2, episode 21. I titled this one, Knowing the Law Matters. Let me try to take some of this off here. We can hide that. We don't need that up there anymore. First of all, I hope everyone is having a good day out there. First of all, my condolences to all the families who have lost a loved one due to a hate crime, or as I would like to call them, a domestic act of terrorism. To the George Floyd family and all those who have been struck down all the way up to this point, I really don't have the time to name everybody who's been struck down these 400 plus years. I really don't. To the Eric Gardner family and Philando Castillo, Breonna Taylor family, the Ahmaud Arbery family, I'm so sorry. And to the Nathaniel Woods family, I am sorry as well, particularly to Mrs. Pamela Woods, who is Mr. Nathaniel Woods' sister. So 90 days ago, this terrible act of, some people called it a lynching, but this inhumane act of lethal injection occurred to Nathaniel Woods. He was 44 years old, and he's no longer with us. The time of death was 9:01 Central Standard Time on March 5th of 2020, which was 90 days ago. Let me start sharing the screen because I want to get to the article that was written. Here we go with these notifications. Like, I got it every time. Notifications. Okay, let me see. Let me go to this window right here, to the article. This is the one I want to share. There we go. I'm going to enlarge up. There we go. This thing always wants to do this to me. I'm going to move myself out of the way because you really don't need to see me. So let me move this out of the way. I'm going to move his picture out of the way as well. There we go. So now you guys should be seeing the article, and I'm going to move the banner. There we go. All right. So I understand that there has been a lot going on, but I do believe that this needs to be revisited just because of the law aspect that we're going to get into. Zero the Infinite, what's going on, man? How you doing? We got Snafu, greetings. And we have Zero the Infinite. What's going on? Glad that you're here. But I wanted to revisit the Nathaniel Woods case because it was just terrible. So let me go down this article. Okay. So this is from the New York Times. It was written by Rick Rojas on March 5th of 2020. So the title is Two Jurors Voted to Spare Nathaniel Woods' Life. Alabama executed him. So Mr. Woods was condemned by a judge, even though a jury failed to reach a unanimous verdict on his sentence. So it was a 10-2 vote. Okay. We're going to start unpacking. So Nathaniel Woods never pulled the trigger, but prosecutors said he was just as guilty as the man who did. He had been a mastermind, prosecutors said, luring police officers in Birmingham, Alabama, into a house where 3 of them were killed. A judge sentenced him to death, but as his execution neared on Thursday, Mr. Woods had a growing number of supporters arguing that there was no evidence showing he had plotted to ambush the officers. Instead, his supporters claimed that Mr. Woods had been sent to death row based on a case rife with flaws and because of a practice in capital punishment cases that allows a defendant to be condemned without a unanimous jury decision, a practice that has been abandoned by every state but Alabama. Imagine that. So this is where I'm going to get a little bit into the law. Let me go down a little bit further, though. Mr. Woods was convicted in 2005, and at his sentencing, prosecutors portrayed him as someone who hated the police. Well, of course they did. The officer's widow said they believed that Mr. Woods ought to die, and all but 2 of the jurors agreed. On Thursday, Mr. Woods, 44, was executed at 9:01 p.m. local time at Holman Corrections Facility in Atmore, Alabama, state officials said. Let me go one more step. An intense effort by death penalty activists and civil rights groups, which swelled in the final hours to include celebrities and prominent activists outside of Alabama, ultimately failed in persuading the courts of Governor Kay Ivey to intervene. The United States Supreme Court issued a temporary stay on Thursday evening, just minutes before his execution was scheduled to take place, but the stay was soon lifted. Mrs. Ivey declined to step in. And this is where I put a person needs all 12 members to convict, for anything. A person, but not in Alabama. So again, only but Alabama. So now, let me go back up here. We're going to take this a little bit, just piece by piece. Stay with me. Yes, I do, but we're not getting into that subject, snafu. I may have to unpack that another day. Yes, I know what the straw man is. Yes. But right now, I'm focusing on this, as far as there being a 12, you need usually 12 people to convict somebody, not a 10-2 jury decision. So let me go back to where I was. And I'm going to put up something right now. Hold on here. So let me go back. So I'm going to go to this second one where it says where it says Mr. Woods had a growing number of support arguing that there was no evidence showing he had plotted to ambush the officer. So when somebody is coming up on charges, see, there's a thing called the burden of proof. You know, there is a burden of proof where, again, and I'm going to show you what I mean by burden of proof. I'm going to put it right up on the screen. So let me see. So you're going to see some things called proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So the legal system places strong limits on the power of the state to convict a person on a crime. Criminal defendants are presumed innocent. So this is what's supposed to happen, where a person is innocent until proven guilty. So to overcome the presumption, the state must prove every element of the charged offense beyond reasonable doubt. The state must prove a case within a framework of procedural safeguards to protect the accused. Do y'all not see that? Beyond reasonable doubt. So I know what some of you are thinking, well, what do you mean by beyond reasonable doubt? Well, in criminal proceedings, you know, usually with civil court, there's a thing called preponderance of evidence, where a person only needs to prove 51%. But in beyond a reasonable doubt, it's like over 90%. See that? Beyond a reasonable doubt. You see how far high that is? So probable cause, right? To arrest somebody, right? Okay, that's about 33%. A little bit below reasonable suspicion, which would be about 25%. But you see how preponderance of evidence is like right above 50%? So over 50% to prove in a civil court. Now, when you get to criminal, beyond a reasonable doubt is almost, look how close that is to 100%. That is like right at 100%. Yeah, I'm tracking that due to the global situation. Yes, indeed. But yeah, you see that beyond a reasonable doubt. So you don't need a 10 to 2. Like when it comes to somebody's life, you don't need to do a 10 to 2. That should be all 12 people should be in agreement. It should be in agreement that this person actually did what they did. So that's what beyond a reasonable doubt means. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I have a criminal justice degree, but I am not a lawyer. Okay. If you need legal advice, I would suggest that you seek a trusted, competent, licensed lawyer. That's what I will say. But beyond a reasonable doubt is almost 100%. So let me get that off of there. And let me go, hold on here, let me get that off of there. There we go. Let me go back to the article. But again, it's the state to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this man actually did what he supposedly did. So let me go back over here to this pathetic governor who did not step in. Okay. A jury of Mr. Woods' peers convicted him of 4 counts of capital murder, Mrs. Ivy said in a statement explaining her rationale, which was issued shortly after the execution. In the past 15 years, his conviction has been reviewed at least 9 times, and no court has found any reason to overturn the jury's decision. Okay, this is the Governor Kay Ivey. As Mr. Woods' case attracted widespread attention, it highlighted Alabama's persistence in carrying out the death penalty, even as capital punishment has increasingly fallen out of favor across the country. Advocates, here we go, have also used his case with its lack of unanimous verdict to shine a light on a practice neglected by other states as courts ruled that it was unconstitutional. Yeah. So, speaking of the Constitution, let me go now to this other thing that I'm going to show. Since now the Constitution has been brought up, might as well see what the Constitution is talking about. So, let me see here. If it's in here, because I put so much stuff in here, I might not even put the Constitution in here. 5 elements. Looks like I put everything but the Constitution in here. The 6th Amendment. Let me see. But getting into the 6th Amendment, a person has a right to a fair and speedy trial, among many other things. Hold on here. I don't even think I have a picture of that. At least I thought I did. Yeah, this one was a lot of unpacking. A lot. Okay, burden of proof. We already broke down beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay, it's not in here. I had to find it a little bit later to show you sort of what the 6th Amendment is talking about. In fact, I might just pull it up right now just so you can see it. Let me see if I can find it. Because there's certain words that the 6th Amendment uses that should be, let me see if I can pull it up. At least I thought I already had it pulled up, but this was one of those things. Let me see what this says. Let me see. Okay, so let me see what this is saying. This is just one of those things. So the 6th Amendment, I do have it. I'm going to see if it's going to come up if I do what I need to do with it. Let me see here. I'm going to try to pull it up on the screen. All right, let me see if it'll come up. There we go, the 6th Amendment. There we go. All right. So the 6th Amendment. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a what? Speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. So that is the 6th Amendment of the Constitution. Now, again, he had counsel, but we're going to get into his counsel that he had. Let me get back over here. Oh, here I go again. All right. Trying not to minimize. Hey, Yapo, what's going on? Yes, I know, but I was going to get to that, Yapo. I was going to get to that towards the end, because again, something that it looks good on paper, right? But if it's not enforced, then it really doesn't mean anything. And that is true. So, unfortunately, I don't believe any laws in this country are applied to our people fairly. It is all arbitrary. The only time law is strictly applied to our people is when it affects us negatively. Yes, that is true. Yeah, wow. That's powerful. White people are judged by the spirit of the law. Black people are judged by the letter of the law. Man, ouch. Let me keep going. That's true. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I see squirrels. Hey, you're welcome to come in and you can drop your link. You're welcome to do that. So you guys can check out each other's channels. But I had to revisit this. I still believe, knowing the law is important. But let me get back to it. But okay, where was I at? Okay, here we go. I was talking about the unanimous verdict, So I just put up there the Sixth Amendment, what our rights are supposed to be. But anyway, here we go. Robert Dunham, the executive director of the Death Penalty Information Center, said that allowing death sentences without a unanimous decision creates a heightened risk that an innocent person will be sentenced to death. Valerie P. Hans, a law professor at Cornell University, said that y'all know I got this Ohio education. Unanimity in capital punishment cases and others tends to promote more thorough deliberations, more accurate outcomes, increased consideration of all viewpoints in a deliberation, and greater confidence in jury decisions. This is probably one of the most important paragraphs in the article. Unanimous to see, and this is what the state of Alabama has done. That man did not have a unanimous verdict convicting him of murder. He had a 10-2 verdict. Mr. Woods supporters have noted that there was no dispute that Mr. Woods was not the gunman and that the actual gunman had also argued Mr. Woods is innocent. This is the guy who pulled the trigger. He even said he was innocent. They also described inept representation. One lawyer abandoned him during his appeals process. Now, remember, usually how the system works is that it is state appointed counsel. So we had a lawyer abandon him, and we'll get into the sad, pitiful representation he had. Now, this right here, this line right here, here we go. This is where his representation led him wrong. Look at what these people did to him. Mr. Woods turned down a plea deal of 20 to 25 years in prison. Supporters said because he had been misled into believing he could not be sentenced to death since he was not the government. Do you see this evilness right here? Do you not see that? Look at the evilness right there. He turned down a plea deal of 20 to 25 years in prison because he had been misled into believing he could not be sentenced to death because he was not the government. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, what does the law say? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Let me see what's going on down in here. Yes, that is powerful and true. Yes, I like to give credit where credit is due as well. But you see the evilness, Yapa. This is evil. These people are evil. They led him to believe that he could not be sentenced to death. Now, I'm about to go into the law right now. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Okay, I'm going to pull up the Alabama Criminal Code. Here we go. I am going to read it. It's a little small. I put the all of the sources will be in the description box. I'm not playing no games. I'm really not. So, in the Alabama Code 13 Alpha, which is the criminal code, Chapter 5 dealing with punishment, and Article 2 deals with capital punishment and life imprisonment without parole. Here we go. Paragraph 19, Charlie. A defendant who does not personally commit the act of killing, which constitute the murder, is not guilty of a capital offense defined in subsection Alpha of this section unless that defendant is legally accountable for the murder because of complicity in the murder itself under the provision of section 13 Alpha 2-23, and I will go to that next. In addition to being guilty of the other elements. So you see that they don't have to, the state has a burden of proof. They have to prove complicity, that he in fact, here I'll get to the better, like lured those officers to their death, but also in addition to establishing complicity, they have to prove in addition to being guilty of the other elements of the capital offense. So I know what you're probably saying. Back to the basics. What do you mean the other elements? Too easy. I'm going to show you the 5 elements of a crime right now. Here are the 5 elements. Actus reus. They have to show that he actually did the criminal act, which we all know that Nathaniel Woods did not pull the trigger. Mens rea, the guilty mind, the criminal intent. Concurrence, both of those things have to be happening around the same time. Attendant circumstances are special considerations, like if a person is mentally ill, or if they have some type of mental, I know we can't even use the word retardation. You have to say like mental incapacitated, and then a bad result, not just causing, I know it says causing criminal harm, but in other resources, causing loss of life and or damage to property. Those are the 5 elements of a crime or criminal liability. So if he did not commit the act, that already knocks out one of the elements, which means he should not have been charged with capital punishment. You see what I'm saying? All right, let me go back to that. Because they have to prove complicity in addition to being guilty of the other elements of the capital offense. There are 5 elements of a crime. They couldn't even prove he didn't even do it. So there goes the first element. This is evil. These people, and again, this is the letter of the law right here I'm reading. Okay, so complicity, because it says murder under, section 13 Alpha, which is Alabama Criminal Code, Article 2, and then 23. Let me go to that real quick, because I'm going to show you what that says. Okay, complicity. Here we go. Let me try to move. Hold on here. Yeah, this is evil. So criminal liability based upon behavior of another, complicity. A person is legally accountable for the behavior of another constituting a criminal offense if with the intent to promote or assist the commission of the offense. See, this is where the state has the burden of proof to what? Show that Mr. Woods actually had intent to assist in the murder. They have to prove the mens rea, which is the guilty mind, the intent, which is the second element of the crime. Here we go. If he aids or abates such other person in committing the offense. Hey, what's going on, Tone Malone? What's going on, man? What's going on? I'm going all the way in on this Nathaniel Woods case because it's BS. Again, exactly, Iyapo Yapa. I'm reading from the Alabama Code, the Alabama Criminal Code. I Googled it. It's simple as that. Alabama Criminal Code 13 Alpha, Chapter 5 covers punishments and sentencing. Article 2 covers complicity. So again, I don't know how 10 people had the nerve to say that this man was guilty when the actus reus, he did not kill those 3 police officers, and he did not have the guilty mind, because they had to prove the intent. They had to prove the intent beyond a reasonable doubt. Well, thank you, man, for listening. Thank you for being here. They had to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Beyond a reasonable doubt. I mean, this is somebody's life here that is gone. So what they did was against the law. That's what I'm trying to prove. So Mr. Woods turned down a plea deal of 20 to 25 years in prison, supporters said, because he had been misled into believing he could not be sentenced to death since he was not the government. And according to the law that we just read, he had to what? They had to prove complicity, that he did what? Aided and abated those officers. And they had to prove, in addition to being guilty of the other elements. Did he, in fact, kill somebody? No, he didn't pull the trigger. Was there a guilty mind? Was it premeditated? No. So that knocks out 2 out of the 5 right there. Let me keep going. So I literally put in this little note, they lied to him and now he's gone. His legal representation lied to him and said, oh, don't take the plea deal because you're not going to be sentenced to death anyway. But then look what happened. And this pathetic governor, this governor Kay Ivey, oh, well, nobody overturned it. And, I didn't feel, nobody in the past 15 years has overturned it, but you had the power to do so, and you did not step in. Here we go. At literally every step of the way, Nate's counsel has let him down, said Lauren Faraino, a lawyer in Birmingham who has been an ardent supporter of Mr. Woods. But in a letter to the governor arguing against a reprieve, Alabama's attorney general, this servant of Satan, yeah, I said it, you just a servant of Satan, Steve Marshall, said that Mr. Woods was not an innocent bystander and that his case had been handled properly. Oh, really? We're going to get back to Mr. Steve Marshall. Here's another quote from him. His trial and appeal were fair, and justice can only be achieved by the execution of his lawfully imposed sentence. Mr. Marshall wrote, the murder of 3 police officers deserves no sentence less than death. Isn't that interesting? How, if it's a police officer getting murdered, now it's real interesting how justice becomes really swift and all that Sixth Amendment is in full force. If it's a police officer getting murdered. Yeah. What about Ahmaud Arbery? That father and son is just getting now charged. And he has been gone for a long minute, like February. It is now June. Was that a really speedy and swift call to justice? Yes, thank you, Snafu. Yes, the guilty mind. Yes, that's what they taught me back whenever I was going for criminal justice. But this talking about the murder of 3 police officers deserves no sentence less than death. Well, you know what? How about Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor? And mind you, at least Ahmaud Arbery, those 2 have now been sentenced. Well, I do believe all 3 have been sentenced, the driver and the father and son. But real interesting how with Breonna Taylor, you know how many, you know what's going down with Breonna Taylor? No charges. And guess what? All of those police officers were reassigned. So they're out there probably, I don't know, getting ready to kill somebody else. Oh, wow. I'm not even going to get into that. Exactly. Would you see that? So they value police officers over everybody else. Let me tell you something. We put on our pants the same way as they do, as y'all do. The same way. You're not special. You're no better than me or anybody else. You're no better than Breonna Taylor, who was in her apartment sleep. Her and her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker. They were both in that apartment asleep. And then y'all come busting up in there in plain clothes. And then when Mr. Kenneth Walker exercised his Second Amendment to bear arms and defend the household, you guys literally shot over 20 rounds. 8 of them hit Breonna Taylor, and now she is gone. She wasn't even armed. Lord help if her younger sister had been there, because that could have been a double homicide. But you know what? No officers have been charged, and they have been reassigned. And you know what's so sad about that story? You guys had someone in custody already prior to even going to Breonna Taylor's apartment. You already had a suspect in detention. So what were you doing over there at Breonna Taylor's apartment? I have no idea, but it looks like murder 1 to me. You had an intent to get up in there and do what you needed to do. So it's murder 1 to me. She's gone. Nobody's been charged. Nobody. Let me keep going. Yeah, I agree with that. It's all about money. It's a shame. Let me keep going. Most states have abolished the ability to impose a death sentence based on only a majority of votes. In Alabama, where the state Supreme Court has upheld the constitutionality of the practice, at least 10 jurors have to vote in favor of the death penalty for the judge to impose it. In one of the most recent cases, Christopher Price, who was convicted of robbing and killing a minister, was executed in May. The jury at his trial voted, here we go, 10-2 in favor of the death penalty. So again, somebody's life, and it's not unanimous. In other states, that has been voted to be unconstitutional. So here we go. Historically, unanimity has been a hallmark of our jury system, said Randy Susskind, the deputy director of the Equal Justice Initiative, an organization based in Montgomery, Alabama, that seeks to fight mass incarceration and excessive punishment. In a death penalty case, Mr. Susskind added, where the jury is tasked with deciding whether someone should live or die, and they're the conscience of the community, and they have already convicted the defendant of capital murder, the idea that the state is unable to convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt is a pretty important factor. Delaware and Florida had also been among the limited number of states that allowed judges to sentence a person to death row without a unanimous verdict. But in Delaware, the state Supreme Court in 2016 ruled it what? Unconstitutional. Delaware has not carried out an execution since 2012. But getting back up to what Mr. Suskin said, what he's saying is that if you're, if the jury is the conscience of the community, then it should be pretty much unanimous beyond a reasonable doubt, meaning all 12 people should be in agreement, should agree that, okay, this person committed this crime and there's overwhelming evidence proving that. So let's get down to Florida real quick. What's going on, the underrated darkness? So glad you're here. Exactly. Those demons were reassigned as far as the Breonna Taylor case. Oh, yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. Most definitely. So let me get back to the article. In Florida, a legal battle over the role of jurors in determining death sentences ascended to the United States Supreme Court, which struck down parts of the state capital punishment system in 2016. As a result, state lawmakers instituted a requirement for a supermajority of 10 jurors to vote in favor of the death penalty. So pretty much the same as Alabama. But that was thrown out by the Florida Supreme Court, which found such sentences require a unanimous vote. But in January, here we go again with this BS, the state Supreme Court reversed its previous decision, with a majority asserting that in the earlier ruling, the justices got it wrong. The decision created a potential opening for state lawmakers to consider reverting to the former standard, which is what? The 10 jurors to vote in favor, not 12. In 2017, Alabama became the last state in the country to end a practice in which judges were allowed to override a jury's decision of a life sentence and impose the death penalty. Can you believe that? In 2017, Alabama became the last state in the country to end a practice in which the judges were allowed to override a jury's decision. So what's the point of even having the Sixth Amendment when you're going to have a judge overruling what the juror's decision is? You see what I'm saying, Alabama? Yeah, I would know. No, I'm not. I cannot be a resident of Alabama. Not with that law in the books, no. And with Florida looking like it's going back to the same way, possibly, no thank you. No disrespect to Florida or Alabama, but the laws y'all got on the books, no thank you. Hey, what's going on? Nature's simplistic beauty motivation. How you doing? What's happening? Thank you so much for the thumbs up. It's been 90 days since, we've lost Nathaniel Woods. And, I just want, listen, I'm not trying to take away from the George Floyd family or any of the families who have lost a loved one due to these hate crimes. But I do believe, 90 days is nothing. It's just like it happened yesterday. And I did want to revisit this due to show the hypocrisy. Even with the Constitution and their Alabama code, they didn't even follow the codes in Alabama. They didn't even follow their own criminal codes. This man should have never been convicted. I don't know whether his defense was a public defender, but I did cover in the article that even one of his defense attorneys quit on him. It really is a shame. Oh, I'm doing fine. You know, I'm hanging. Whew, I'm hanging. Okay. Oh, I have someone waiting in the back chat. Let me see. Looks like the underrated darkness has come in. Hey, what's going on? I was really getting into the article. So what do you think thus far? I'm gonna mute.
I'm gonna be nice. No, I'm not gonna be nice. I'm gonna come out like this though.
Don't be nice.
I'm not gonna be nice. Us as a people, wherever we get killed, we always concentrate on what happened right now. We always forget about the ones that lost their life. We go short memories. We cannot have short memories of Queen Taylor. We cannot have short memories of the other ones that's happened for just a few years, or even way back in time. Should we concentrate on George Floyd? Yes, but let's not forget about the other ones. And sometimes we tend to forget about them, of their stories, because we let the media control our narrative. Let's not forget about them. Let's not forget about the. But I'm gonna talk more tonight on my because I'm doing something tonight. I'm gonna say some things tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. No, I ain't mean to like say it down on your channel, but I just gotta say this. This young man had lost his fiance. That he stand up and protect his household. And I see hardly nobody do not ask how he feels. What about Breonna Taylor family? What about Eric Gardner? What about the one in Georgia? Let's not forget about them. Let's not forget about them. And even the ones go way back. Let's make sure that this system going to control our narrative. What happened to Brother Nathaniel Woods is execution. That is lynching. And some of us, this is like 90 days, right? Am I right, sister? Is it 90 days today?
Today is the 90th day. Yes, it is.
Today is the 90th day. I will never forget that because my birthday is yesterday. So I always got to remember that. He got murdered for nothing. But we feel, and I know it's gonna some of our people gonna be in their feelings, but I don't care. The truth is the truth. Let's not forget about Nathaniel Woods and the other ones too. That we got to put a step in the pedal. I remember when I went down south, first time I went down south, that's when my father was living. And this back in 72. Do you know that was Alabama was the last state that stopped labor slavery? I want you to understand what I'm saying. They was the last state also that ended labor slavery. And why do we think they gonna change right now? What they did when they did that brother Nathaniel Woods, and it's documented. Just as the sister has brought it out. And their family, and the sad thing about it, that some of us fail to understand this, They still ain't got no justice. But we're going to throw them on the side. It's not right, family. If we say we serve our community, we fight for our community, we got to fight for all of them, even the ones that is known and all the ones that is not known. 90 days, family. A day after my birthday. Understand that, family. I would never forget this for the rest of my life. Today makes 90 days that he lost his life. Matter of fact, a little over an hour. That's all I want to say, because I'm headed. I give it back to you. Thank you. I'll mute myself.
I didn't leave. I was trying to find a picture of Breonna Taylor as you were speaking. So I'm trying to see if I can bring it up right now. That's why there was a slight delay. Let me see if I can bring up a picture of her. But I felt, again, that it was important to highlight this just because of just the evilness. Like, Alabama didn't even go by its own law. So if you can't even do that, I mean, it's just pitiful. It really is pitiful. I can't find a picture of her right now. So we're going to keep pushing. I thought I had it up here. So I usually try to at least put that off to the side. But anyway, let me go back to the article. Hold on here. There we go. So I think that it's terrible that Alabama is still, it was the last state to end a practice where judges could just pretty much override the jury's decision. So what's the point of having a jury when, like, the judge is going to be pretty much the absolute monarchy, like pretty much have the last say anyway? Let me keep going. Judges in Alabama use the option to override a jury more than 100 times over 4 decades. A report by the Equal Justice Initiative found in a vast majority of instances, judges overruled in favor of the harsher sentence. Well, of course they did. At one point, some 20% of death row inmates were condemned in cases involving a judicial override. So again, that was just the judge deciding whether they were going to live or die. In the trial, hold on here. Trying to make sure I keep up with you guys' comments. Yes. 14 years old. That's a shame. A child. Lord have mercy. Yes. Snafu is still with us. It's all for profit, and your prisons are slave. Yep. It sure is. I just want to say right here, none of my statements are endorsed by the United States Army, Department of Defense, and or other military branch, element, or government entity, because shoot, I am active duty, and my views do not express the perspective of the United States Army or the Department of Defense. You know, snafu, I get where you're going with that, but it really doesn't matter what color they are, because unfortunately, we have a lot of coons and sambos out here. We have a lot of people out here who, again, for profit, will throw people under the bus. Like, excuse me, that Kamara, like, Harrison, I mean, I heard she had the reputation of being a very nasty district attorney. Underrated darkness. You know more about you know about who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, she was a district attorney. She was the head district attorney of California. That
Right. And I heard her track record, like she was like ruthless. Like she I heard she was a hot mess.
yeah,
So
she more than a hot mess. See, but see, I'm yeah, I'm yeah. All I can say is this: do your own diligence and look up for Kamala Harris. She has. I'll just do your due diligence. Y'all look it up for yourself. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I know.
all right, you heard the man. I mean, but like I said, it doesn't matter whether these judges are black or white.
Doesn't matter.
Again, if you get yourself somebody who's gonna coon and buck dance and yeah, master, you know, listen, it ain't gonna matter what color they are. If you, because
Yeah.
believe me, if they getting their butter biscuits, guess what? They
Yeah.
you going
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. And yes, sir. How you want me to put that butter and jelly on them biscuits? Cause I know you like them hot. Yeah. I'm your Negro. I do it wherever you can. You know I listen to you. But the sad thing about it, we still got a lot of them. They are moderate now. They dress like me and you. Well, I will talk more about that tonight. But I'm just saying that the thing. I'm just talking people in the chat for now. The things that Back to the Basics is bringing up, they intent was never really represent Nathaniel Woods, even though that he was fighting for his life. They was not his. Their intention of we're gonna take him to the river, and then that's what it is. That's what it is. And the sad thing about it, they won, and that's the sad thing about it. He lost his life for nothing, just as Information Man was saying in his own way. And that's what I'm saying about it.
I would like to say a special shout out to the Information Man Speaks podcast. His video is in the description box. And also a shout out to the Underrated Darkness, because he also did a video with the Information Man Speaks podcast or Information Man show on his platform as well. And for anybody else who did a video about this, any type of commentary, it's most appreciated. I can't speak for the family, but again, we just can't remember this case because legally they didn't even go by their own code when they killed this man. Let me keep going through the article. We're going to make it. So, in the trial of Kerry Spencer, the man who prosecutors said plotted with Mr. Woods and fired at the officers, the judge overruled a jury's decision to impose a sentence of life in prison without parole and instead sentenced him to death. So, here we go. Mr. Spencer remains on death row. Now, you see what happened? This was the guy who actually fired the shots. In a recent interview with The Appeal, a nonprofit news organization that covers the criminal justice system, Mr. Spencer called Mr. Woods actually 100% innocent. So even the gunman said that Mr. Woods was innocent. But yet the gunman is still on death row and Mr. Woods is gone. And this is where I just put the criminal against us system. There's no other thing I can think of. The criminal against us system. Okay? The system was never meant to work for us anyway. Here we go with these notifications. All right. Come on through. Okay, the death penalty has been on the decline in the United States, with 7 states carrying out 22 executions last year, the second lowest number since 1991. Last year, New Hampshire became the 21st state to abandon capital punishment. Let me see. I know I'm going to continue to get notifications. It is what it is. Let me see. What other notifications are there? Might as well get it out of the way. Okay. Now, this is now you remember that governor? Oh, this governor. Oh, she gets on my nerves. This is what this heifer had the nerve to say. Thank you, Underrated Darkness, for coming up and just expressing your views about this case. I know for you and Information Man, this was a very difficult case for you guys to unpack. Shout out to Yapo Yapa. Y'all need to go over there and check him out on Spreaker and his YouTube channel, and check out the Underrated Darkness. He has a lot of material on his channel. Many different series over there on his channel. Tone Malone, I know that you're driving. Brother, be safe out there. But let me keep going. Let me go back to the article. So this heifer, let me get back on this heifer, because I don't really care if she's a Republican or a Democrat. I don't like neither party. So Mrs. Kay Ivey, Alabama's Republican governor, who has been in office since 2017, has expressed a measure of discomfort over her role in capital cases and has avoided interviewing in executions. This is not a decision that I take lightly, Mrs. Ivey said on Thursday, but I firmly believe in the rule of law and that justice must be served. Oh, so you believe in the rule of law? Really? Well, your law. See, I'm telling you, these people, this right here, and let me get back to what I had highlighted. This heifer had the nerve to express that, a measure of discomfort over her role in capital cases and has avoided interviewing the executions. Listen, you can't be the drama queen and the queen bee at the same time. You need to pick one. You know, that sounds like a personal problem that you have a measure of discomfort. Oh, maybe because that you didn't intervene on a man who was innocent and you did nothing about it, and now he's dead. You pretty much killed him. You didn't intervene. And I hope you do feel uncomfortable, and I hope that you don't even sleep at night. I hope that you have no peace of mind. No peace of mind. That you abhor the very reflection you see in the mirror. I don't see how you sleep at night. Oh, snafu. Hey, thank you for even watching. I know you're watching from Scotland. Thank you so much for being here. Be safe out there. But you see this heifer. Oh, I believe in the rule of law. Well, really? So why did you not step in? Hold on here. Let me see where she did not step in at. It's way up. It's like way up on like the second page where she didn't step in. Here we go with these notifications. So here we go. So the United States Supreme Court issued a temporary stay, but you didn't step in. You didn't step in, but you have the nerve, the audacity to be uncomfortable. Huh. Yeah, that's a personal problem. You believe in the rule of law? Let's go back and see what your law says. Oh, we can go back one more time. Let me see what Mr. Ayapa. Exactly, Ayapa. A measure of discomfort. Really? Wow. You know what? You're just a servant of Satan. I hope the Most High gets you. And I mean, I pray that he visits you. And for those who read whatever sacred text that you may be reading out of, when the Most High visits somebody, oh, it is bad. It is not a good thing. When he talks about a visitation, oh yeah, it's about to go down. Yeah, I hope that he visits you and that he recompenses all the evil back on you. Forget return to sender. I hope he just recompenses every dirty, disgusting, covert, overt evil that you did, particularly in this one. I know, back to the basics, you shouldn't really say that. Well, you know what? When I see someone innocently get murdered, I tell you, this is just this is unreal to me. This is, oh Lord have mercy. Yep, who knows what that man could have done? Struck down at the age of 44. It's just unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable. Struck down. And again, look what the law says. You want to uphold the law? Okay. What does the law actually say? A defendant who does not personally commit the act of killing, which constitute the murder, is not guilty of a capital offense defined in subsection A of this section unless that defendant is legally accountable for the murder because of complicity, meaning that he abated them or lured them to their death. However, in addition to being guilty, but they have to prove complicity in the murder, in addition to being guilty of the other elements. And like, again, I'm going to put back the elements of crime. Here it is. Actus reus, the guilty act. He didn't pull the trigger. Mens rea, the guilty mind. Was it premeditated? No. Those things have to be happening at the same time, attendant circumstances, and then bad result, meaning that there was a loss of life and or damage to property. And guess what? He didn't have even, pretty much the first three he didn't even have. He didn't pull the trigger. It was not premeditated. They could not prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he plotted with the gunman to kill those three police officers. And beyond a reasonable doubt is, look how far up beyond a reasonable doubt is. Almost at 100%. So you should have 12 out of 12 people on that jury saying, listen, he did it. And really, again, they couldn't, because they couldn't, he didn't even do the act. Let me keep going. Oh, Underrated Darkness is back. You got anything you want to add?
Not yet. Not yet.
We're getting there. Not yet? Or let me go back to the article. We're getting there. Let me see here. But this witch right here, she just getting on my last nerve. Oh, discomfort. Okay. Anyway, getting past that, since she talked about, oh, I firmly believe in the rule of law. You didn't even follow the rule of law. You didn't step in to try to save that man's life. Even though the Supreme Court issued a temporary stay, you did absolutely diddly squat. You did nothing. You're a governor, right? So if you have some authority, this was actually the time for you to exercise it. As a woman, you should be embarrassed, because this is one of the reasons why men don't take women seriously in leadership position. And it's another reason why some women don't even believe that a woman can even be president of the United States, because of the inaction. You're a governor. You should be doing better than that. I don't care what color you are, race, ethnicity. You could have represented women a lot better than that. Talking about you feel a little bit discomfort. You're a governor. If you can't take it, how about you step down and let somebody else get up in there and do it? How about that? Forget your feelings. You feel guilty about it. You feel discomfort. Good. But this is exactly why, some women and some men, again, because of this inaction that you didn't act at all. This is the exact reason why some women and some men in this country are like, a woman president, a woman vice president? Oh, hell no. That ain't happening. Because of this behavior right here. Of all the times you could have stepped up, but you didn't do it. I wouldn't vote for you. You couldn't even make a right decision on something simple as this. Then why the hell are you the governor of Alabama? You should be fired. You are an embarrassment. Don't even deserve that damn title you got. You got anything to add? Nothing? You still there, Underrated Darkness?
I'm still here.
Okay, I'm just about there. I'm sorry I went off on my rant, but
No. But behalf of the brothers, I could say in there, it was much more needed. It is much more needed. People want to talk about, oh, things is not fair and stuff like that. There's a woman have all the evidence, and she still say, I'm going to execute this man despite everything that was not on his side, that he didn't do none of this. So some of your women, oh, I fight for women's rights, but there's a white woman that killed your brother. And I don't see how some of your sisters ain't say nothing about that. Even brothers too. It pissed me off. It really is. And I want y'all to go and listen to Information Man when he first talked about it, of Nathaniel Woods. And then the follow-up, what I did. It's pain. It's pain. It's still pain in my heart right this minute, how that man got slaughtered for nothing, and how some of us don't even want to talk about, because you know what? Oh, he's a black man. Oh, he is a criminal. Oh, he did such and such. But I love black men. But you let a white woman that had all the evidence right then and there, cut and dry, and y'all still let it happen. I'm gonna mute my you can go ahead. I'm just pissed off.
That's fine. Again, this is one of those, it was just, he was doomed from the very beginning due to the council that, again, that the state appointed. And again, we're going to go down further through the article, because again, I wanted to take my time. Here we go. I wanted to take my time to actually unpack that. I posted 2 links in the chat. Hopefully they're showing. Oh, Yafo. I feel discomfort when I spill ice cream on my lap. This is not a term that should be used in reference to the murder of an innocent man. I agree. I put both links in the chat to the Information Man Speaks podcast, the video that he did about Nathaniel Woods on March the 5th. And I also posted the link to The Underrated Darkness, in which his co-host was the Information Man show, to go to unpack it even deeper, a little bit more. Okay, let me go back to the article. We're getting there, y'all, slowly but surely. So here we go. The efforts to spare Mr. Woods received a surge of momentum as his execution approached. Martin Luther King III, the human rights activist and son of the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., wrote a letter to Mrs. Ivy asking her, "Are you willing to allow a potentially man to be executed?" So now you even have the son of MLK Jr. writing to Mrs. Ivy, the governor of Alabama. Mrs. Farino, a one-time corporate lawyer, had stumbled across a mention of Mr. Woods' execution in an email newsletter, and it drew her attention. So here we go. We have this one-time corporate lawyer, Mrs. Farino. She and her mother poured over thousands of pages of records from Mr. Woods' case. Mrs. Farino then wrote a lengthy report that she shared widely, detailing what the shortcomings she found with the official handling of the case and with his lawyers, all which she argued pose lethal consequences. Did you see what the wording that this young lady used? Lethal consequences to Mr. Woods. They literally led this man to the gallows. Are you hearing me? They led this guy to the gallows. They did. It's a shame, but they did. So, hold on here. But even her, now remember, you remember what this demon up here said? Oh, the prosecutor, Mr. Steve Marshall. Oh, his trial was here we go. His trial and appeal were fair, and justice can only be achieved by the execution of his lawfully imposed sentence, Mr. Marshall wrote. The murder of 3 police officers deserves no sentence less than death. Yeah, a sentence that you illegally, the state of Alabama illegally imposed on Mr. Woods. You couldn't even prove that he did the act because he didn't. He didn't pull the trigger. But you said it was a spare and speedy trial, but yet when this other lawyer got her hands on it, she found all types of shortcomings. Here we go. The truth of the matter is, she said, no one has had the inclination or perhaps the resource to conduct an extensive study. In the final days before the scheduled execution, Mrs. Farino and Pamela Woods, Mr. Woods' younger sister, raced to draw more attention to the case. Mrs. Woods went to the recent celebration for the 55th anniversary of the march in Selma, Alabama, to urge civil rights activists to take on her brother's case. So this is what his sister did in the last final moments, in the final hours. And this is the end of the article right here. Mrs. Woods said she believed her brother had found some comfort in seeing the broader public take an interest in his case. He knows that people are fighting for him, Mrs. Woods said the day before his execution. He knows people know the truth. You know, this really is a shame. This is really a shame that this happened. Lord have mercy. I tell you, this man. So this is what his sister did, his younger sister. God. All I gotta say was, you know, where was Reverend Al Sharpton when all this lovely stuff was happening? It seems that, you know, some of you civil rights activists like to pick and choose. You see what it is you guys want to, you know, when you guys want to make your little special appearance. That's why I really don't have too much respect for some of you. Now, mind you, I understand what you're going to say. Well, you weren't there. You sure right. I was born in 1986. Nope. I miss civil rights. But now that I'm here, I'll be darned if I'm going to have the nerve. I mean, there's just no excuse for you. And I understand when some people say, well, you know, you should respect your elders. Listen, I respect everything. I respect all of the ancestors and what they went through. But with this coon and Sambo type behavior, like how can you start over there with Dr. King and then end up way over there? Pretty much with the enemy. I don't understand that. I really don't. But I just find it interesting that here we go. The Reverend Al Sharpton, of course, made his little appearance at the George Floyd Memorial just so he can get his 15 minutes of fame, because that's what it's all about. It's not really about trying to make a difference, because I didn't see you make an appearance with Breonna Taylor. So it seems like you're really wishy-washy and you just pick and choose whom you want to, where you just sort of choose what you want to do. So if you're going to choose like that, it shouldn't matter whether if it's a high profile case or where the case is going. You really shouldn't choose. And for that, you know what? You're a coon. And, you know, I really don't have any respect for you. I really don't. Yeah, I really don't have respect for you. But that's the end of the article. This was again from the New York Times. Hold on just a second. Let me Let me get back to the comments here. Forgive me, y'all. I'm trying to multitask. Yeah, it gets hard. It does. And like I said, I understand I'm not, like I said, I miss civil rights, but I'd be darned if I'm going to start somewhere and then end up becoming a coon or a Sambo. You got to be kidding me. I just, there ain't no way. No. It hurts me too that this continues to happen. Let me see what the other comment says here. Exactly what they used to be. Right. Exactly. A Yappo Yappa. Yeah. It's like, yeah, Lucifer was an angel of light. So exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm going to drop a link. I mean, Yappo Yappo, I'm going to drop the link. You're welcome to come up. I know you said a lot in the chat, but I do want you to come up. Let me drop this link real quick because I just, again, this is no disrespect to the families of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and all the ones who we have lost. I mean, like I said, I don't have the time, period. Like, if I tried to name everybody that we have lost this past 400 plus years, like literally this live would be like 8+ hours. Like it would literally, the live would literally cut off. It literally would. It would literally cut off. Let me see if I can copy this. Okay, I think it copied. Let me see if it did. Technology. Nothing wants to work. Let me see. Okay, I'm dropping the link now. I would just like to say, due to the plantation that I'm on, none of my statements are endorsed by the United States Army, Department of Defense, and or any other military branch, element, or government entity. Just want to make that clear. You still there, Underrated Darkness?
Yes.
Okay. I'm at the end of the article now. I just feel so bad. Hey, 89 TV, man, what's going on? What's happening? Trying to show your thing up here. Having a delay. Why is this not showing? There we go. What's going on? You have anything to say? I'm at the end of the article. I think I dropped the thing in the chat just to see. Shout out to the Periscope family. I see someone did join. Greetings to you. Thank you for listening. Just wanted to check and see who was over there. But yeah, if you got anything to say, I mean, sure. Oh, you're multitasking too? Yeah. You know, I'm really excited. I know you said you were working on a magazine. Yes. Oh, you're gonna finish. Just keep working on it. It's like eating an elephant. You'll be fine. I'm still working on my blog. I do need to get back on it. The blog is gonna focus on mental health. I'm still recovering from anxiety and depression, and I am winning, and I am determined to win. I don't really care about what psychological warfare the enemy might come against me. I'm going to win. Yes. I'm glad, and I'll be excited. I can't wait to see like what the magazine is going to look like. I think that is awesome. I think that is important. Black media does matter because we need to be telling our own stories and not having other people rewrite history and a whole bunch of other stuff. We don't need that. I have not. Is there like a link on your hold on here. I haven't read your first issue yet, but I got to get back over to your channel because I do try to listen in on a weekly basis. I said I try to get around to everybody's channel to see what's going on. But you got any words underrated darkness? Because like I said, I'm at the end of the article.
All I can say is just keep on fighting, and let's understand. Let's not forget about the ones in the past too.
Let's honor them too. Let's honor the family. You know what happened to the brother? It's sad. And I know there's people say, "Oh, I never seen nothing like this before." Could be true, but us as a people, this been going on for hundreds of years, centuries. And let's not forget. I'm just saying, let's not forget about them. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Make sure you guys let's support Ayapo Yapa as far as his magazine. He says he just dropped the link to his first issue. So it's dwayamedia.com. The link is right there. But yeah, this was, I do feel that this should have been revisited. I think that it's important for us not to forget. And I think it's really important for us to read and research. Now, there was a really good point made by Mr. Yapo Yapa when he said, that the laws, particularly the Constitution and different things, don't even apply to us because it wasn't written with us in mind. This is true. But we also have to use, even though, again, as we saw in this case, even the criminal code was not followed. The 5 elements of crime the 5 elements of crime was not even it wasn't even established. They did not prove beyond a reasonable doubt. It really is a shame. Because beyond a reasonable doubt, I mean, and this is for the state to prove. So here it says criminal defendants are presumed innocent. And we see in this case, he was not presumed innocent. He was pretty much, they already had him guilty, and he was unfortunately represented by incompetent counsel. And really, I wouldn't even say that they were incompetent. I wouldn't even use the word grossly negligent. They were what I call deliberately negligent. They did not do their job. They didn't. They did not do what they were supposed to do. And that was proved beyond a reasonable doubt that he had what? That he had plotted with the gunman to bait those officers in that household to kill them. They couldn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt. In fact, he wasn't even the one who pulled the trigger. So that presumed innocent stuff, yeah, it looks cute on paper, but in reality, that doesn't even happen. It doesn't even happen. Beyond a reasonable doubt, again, almost 100%. It's not probable cause to arrest somebody. It's not preponderance of evidence to, get what a person can get in, civil court, which is like, more than 50%. It is almost 100% the evidence has to prove 100% that this person indeed committed this crime or was an accomplice to the crime, which they could not get beyond a reasonable doubt because they did not have all 12 jurors convict Mr. Woods. Even though their crooked law over there, has the super majority rule, meaning a 10 to 2 verdict. And again, in the addition of proving that he, if they could prove that, complicity, meaning that he baited the officers in, they'd also have to prove, in addition to that, being guilty of the other elements of the capital offense. So it's not just, he aided and abetted, but was he guilty of all elements of the crime, which they did not. Okay, I'm going to go off the article right now. Let me stop sharing the screen. This really is a shame. Oh, I tell you. Are you still there, Underrated Darkness? Do you still anything else you'd like to say?
All I can say is just keep
Hello?
on.
Are you still there?
I'm right here. You can hear me?
I can hear you.
All I can say is just keep on the fight.
Yes, I can hear you.
And let's make sure, let's not forget about the ones, including Brother Nathaniel Woods. We cannot let this go. We can't. And that's all I'm gonna say. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work.
Okay, with that being said, I was trying something before we went off here. Here we go. This always has to happen, I tell you. It's always when you love something where everything goes crazy. I think it's this one right here. I'm going to put on some music. I am going to put up a quote too, because we have to stay focused. Martin Luther King Jr., man. We're coming to get our check. Got to stay focused. But thank you all for listening. Again, this was one of those emotional hold on here. Let me see. I'm going to still looking at the comments. Yes. You enjoy the rest of your day. Please be safe out there, because these terrible acts are happening to all just to anybody. You're right. As feeble as it may be, we must use any resources at our disposal, even if the odds are against it working. For now, it is all we have, unfortunately, once we're in that courtroom. Yep. I mean, I still believe that it's important for people to know the laws. Be careful out there, yappa yappa, nature's simplistic beauty motivation, and all those. Thank you for listening. Thank you to my co-host, The Underrated Darkness. Please make sure you guys check out each other's channels. Check out a Yappo Yappa. He posted the link to his magazine. And shout out to the Great Black Shark who just went live. So I'm probably going to roll on over there, see what the Great Black Shark is doing. Shout out to the Information Man Show, Information Speaks podcast. His link will also be there for you to see the show, for you to see the broadcast that he did on March 5th. Speaking about Nathaniel Woods. I'm going to end with some music, and I'm going to put Mr. Nathaniel Woods' picture back up here. Thank you so much for being here. Peace to you too, Yappa Yappa. See if I can bring up this music. I was trying to bring it up, but you know, things be going crazy around here. Technology. Here we go. Let me see if I can bring it all the way up. And if it'll play. My thoughts and prayers are with Mrs. Pamela Woods, his younger sister, and again, all those who have fallen to racism, to hate crime, to this domestic terrorism, as I call it. None of my statements are endorsed by the United States Army, Department of Defense, or any other military branch, element, or government entity. I love you as a sister. The Most High protect you, lead and guide, and direct your footsteps. One more thing. I want us to go support the Underrated Darkness. He will be going live 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which would be 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, which would translate to 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you. May the Most High be with you.